Shape design is an important topic in art that I haven't seen discussed a lot and has been a chore to find information on, and that's in Western art. In the East, it might as well not exist. In this video, I'm going to be applying what I learned from my research onto manga images. I'll leave my sources in the description or pinned comment, but I won't show them in the video because I want to see how well I can explain these on my own with just the manga I know. I will be using One Piece, Bleach, and Trigun for examples, spoilers ahead. I chose them because they abstract and simplify their art in a way that uses a lot of these techniques. Asymmetry is a technique where two sides don't match each other. According to artists, symmetry is boring and asymmetry is interesting. It can be that the left and the right don't match, the top and the bottom, etc. I feel like this is pretty basic and too broad, so I won't show any examples for this. Instead, I'll go into specific subsets of asymmetry. The first subset is simple versus complex. This technique is where one side of the art is simple, while the other is complex. This can be broken down into smaller levels. Some of these might be stretches, but I'll do my best. Sanji taking damage is a perfect example. On the right, his body is just a C curve, which is simple. But on the left, that's where the complexity is. We see his fist, his elbow, and his bent knee. Zoro's encounter with Mr. One is another good example. On the left, there is a C curve for Zoro's robe. On the right, there are jagged lines showing the ends of his robe. When he's clashing with Mr. One in a different panel, his back is mostly just a simple curve, while his front side has arms and blades. The same can be said for the other panels. Ryuken holding his bow is my next example. On our left side, he has his hand in his pocket, creating a simple outline. But on the right side, part of his suit jacket is flapping out, his hand is out, he's holding a bow, and the smoke coming out of it. All of that makes the outline on the right more complex compared to the left. Staying on the macro level, Shinji Upside Down does this as well. On the left side, the line work and details are mostly simple, but on the right, there's his arm sticking out holding a bottle, his tie flapping, his knee pointing out, and even a little more detail on the cap. Now I'll look at a micro level. Looking at Shinji's individual pant legs, I see a similar thing on a smaller level. For his right leg, they are both drawn with curves, but they have slightly different arcs, which is asymmetry. Let's look at Upside Down Shinji again. Look at the left leg. On the right side of the pant sleeve is mostly drawn with one curve, but on the right side, there are folds that make the outline jagged. In Vash's comeback, the top of his extended leg is mostly just a smooth curve, while the bottom has complex details. In the image of Wolfwood dramatically holding Punisher, the top of his leg is a simple curve, while the bottom has more complex lines. The next technique is straights versus curves, which is another subset of asymmetry. This technique is where one side of the art uses straight lines, while the other side uses curves. The juxtaposition can happen over large spaces or small spaces. I mentioned Shinji's leg before. For the lower half of his left leg, the inside is drawn with a curve, while the outside is drawn with straights. I don't have many examples here because it overlaps with the next technique. ICS is the technique of simplifying line work into straight lines, C curves, and S curves. Aizen and his two traders is a wonderful example. Their coats are drawn in smooth S curves from top to bottom. The same thing goes for the Shinigami and the Fullbring arc. The Haori are drawn with sleek, long S and C curves. Urahara's Haori is drawn with multiple simplified curves. When Uryu is standing with the Karakura squad in the last arc, his torso is drawn with C curves. Uryu's Vandenreich coat is made up of all three types of lines. Looking at Rukia's thigh in this chapter cover, you can see how the top and the bottom are drawn asymmetrically. The top line is a C curve, while the bottom line is an S. One Piece often simplifies his character designs into these shapes. While static, several pant legs are simplified into straight lines. Sanji and most of the CP9 are examples. Sometimes their arm sleeves are simplified into curves, as seen with Bluno. In action, these types of lines are used to simplify the characters and exaggerate the movement. Sanji had his entire body shaped like an S curve a few times against Mr. 2. Throughout the fight, limbs and torsos can be simplified to two straights or two C curves. The way the blacks blend together helps keep the design simple and really makes it work. When Vash is using his angel powers, his arm sleeve is made up of two smooth C curves, while his torso uses more jagged straights. Similar to One Piece, characters, usually in suits, will have their limbs and torsos simplified into curves or straights. Trigun also blends the blacks to enhance this effect. For Wolfwood, who wears a black suit, the upper half of his torso is often simplified into a diamond shape made up of curved lines. Because the black blends, it makes it easier to connect the diamond even when it's interrupted by his arms. Taper is a technique to avoid parallel lines, which looks boring according to artists, so instead of parallel lines, they taper and get closer to each other, or they get further apart. Bleach characters taper at the waist a lot, sometimes even at the elbows. This can be seen with Aizen and his subordinates, Tensa's Zangetsu Ichigo, and Uryu's Arrancar arc outfit. Okiura and Yami both have a slight taper in their sleeves. Both spread out towards the end, but Yami's are also wide at the top, creating an hourglass shape. Ichigo's sleeves in the chapter cover spread out. In both of Shinji's images, his legs taper around the knees. In One Piece, there are tapers at the waist too. Kaku, Bluno, Sanji, and every female character have this. Luffy's taper is more unique. His torso is like a bottom-heavy trapezoid, meaning it tapers at the top. The art also tapers when there is foreshortening, so technically that counts. Trigun also tapers at the waist, but it is exaggerated much more by the wide shoulders, making a top-heavy hourglass shape. This can be seen with Vash, Wolfwood, Mid-Valley, and Livio. Mid-Valley sleeves taper in towards the wrist. Many characters have their sleeves fan out, creating a taper at the shoulder or the elbow. Wolfwood vs. Livio has many great examples of this. Livio's arms are often drawn as two straights or curves that taper around the shoulder. Flow is a technique where part of the art moves left to right in a zigzag pattern. The way the long pieces of fabric flow in Bleach is so appealing to look at. This Uryu in the Blood War, Aizen in the Arrancar arc, and the Shinigami in the Fullbring arc. I don't know the extent of what counts for this technique, but I believe that any character standing in an S or C curve pose would count as well. One Piece and Trigun do that. I named some One Piece examples earlier, so here are some Trigun ones. There's Wolfwood pointing the gun at himself, Vash standing dramatically, Vash and Wolfwood walking, and a couple panels of Wolfwood standing dramatically. Those are the techniques that I have found so far. In my opinion, they work best when combined with a certain amount of minimalism. When all the techniques are combined effectively, it creates art that is just as visually appealing as detailed, realistic art. It seems like the major focuses of Western cartoon art is simplification and contrast. Asymmetry and its subsets can be summed up as contrast. I left out shape language like square, circle, and triangle, and big, medium, and small because I thought those were either too intuitive or had been explained thoroughly and frequently by others. If you know any similar art techniques or manga art styles that use these techniques, leave them in the comments. Let me know if this was helpful or not.